So this month we are the Is This Reasonable company, where all we do is we ask are various sources of our data, quote, reasonable?
I believe it's called anomaly detection. I think that's what the serious people call it, but we're not serious people.
Hello, hello, and welcome to Over Architected with Nick and Holly, where we're together experts in AI and data engineering, but separately, not so much.
This is the podcast where we talk about new features in Databricks and then try to shoehorn them into a single architecture to see if it's remotely realistic. Here's our favorite features from the last 30 days. And normally I ask Nick to go first with his AI features, but I know I've got one more data engineering feature than him. So I'm going to sneak in first and say that a big thing that's just come out for data engineering is we have new system tables for compute that have just become generally available. So for all of you who have not used system tables before, these are the really useful kind of data about your data, so not even metadata. It's the data about how people are using your workspace, and they are going to be automatically updated within Unity Catalog to give you all of this information about your compute. So it has been private preview before, but now it is generally available. So that is going to give you loads of information about the clusters, about the nodes underneath, about the timeline, so how they change over time. And you can use those to go ahead and then do things like find out which of your clusters has low utilization or which are the ones that have got GPUs and potentially are very, very expensive. So with that in mind, Nick, can I ask you to start drawing some architecture with some compute system tables?
Compute system tables. So I'm part of the Databricks privilege class, so I wasn't even aware that this wasn't available to everybody.
Part of the team that doesn't have to look at utilization and figure out who's been spending too much of our budget each month.
Yeah. All right, compute system tables. Well, I mean, absent anything else, I can just put this here. This will work with everything since it applies to basically the entire platform.
Yep.
Is that too simple, or can we go with that?
Yeah, so maybe it's worth highlighting we've got three different tables in here. So we've got the compute system tables have got a table called cluster. We've got a next one, which is the node. And then we also have the node timeline as well.
Wait, what's node and what's node timeline?
So the node is things like how many cores does this particular node have? Are you getting the GPUs or what is the memory? Whereas the timeline is more things like your CPU usage, it's more like your memory swaps, that kind of stuff. So that's the stuff that happens over time rather than like the physical details about the node itself.
Real straightforward.
Yeah, go on, bamboozle me with an AI one then.
Okay. It feels like every month we talk, there's a new model, and this time is no exception. So in the last few weeks, Meta released the Llama 4 model herd. What they're calling it a herd. So three models. Yeah, Scout, Scout, Maverick, and Behemoth. I believe Behemoth is still in preview, and Scout and Maverick. Scout is the smaller one, Maverick's the middle one, are both out and generally available. Specifically on Databricks, it's Maverick that's available.
All right then. So I guess in terms of where we put this in our architecture, again, there's not very many options for us, is there? So we have our AI. So we've got our agent. Um, Lovely. And this is going to have Maverick. And you said it had how was it? Was it foundational a foundation API?
Yes. So two things. It supports paper token and it's part of the optimized foundation model APIs. So I like to just think of it as built into Databricks.
Okay then. So could I
Yes.
I'm trying to think how our agent could benefit from our system tables from compute. Oh, could I use them? So does that mean I could use them as part of AI query?
Yes, absolutely.
All right then. So I think I'm going to use these as part of AI query and not overcomplicate this too much. So this is just going to be some SQL that I write where I'm going to query my data and I'm going to get it to return some things. I think maybe what we want to do is is there any way we could do something about usage to be like, do you think it's reasonable? Maybe that's a good question.
Yeah, sure.
Like, is this
Let's find out what the
reasonable?
model thinks is reasonable.
Yeah,
Um, there is
yeah.
another
Okay.
feature I'll tell you about in the next
Okay.
turn that I'm seeing some ideas come out. So,
Okay.
I'll hold my tongue for now. But is this
Okay.
reasonable works? Yeah.
I think that's sensible because if you could like aggregate over all of your node table and be like, hey, this one specific node, maybe it's like an F series, it's like, I don't know, really old, is this realistic? And it's like, no, this F series has been out for 5 years and it's not very well used across your organization and it's kind of old and not that well optimized. So maybe this is something that you want to change. So I think I think that could work. Not very
Yeah.
well, but it might
I'm not
work.
sure you'll save money, but you will get a response.
Yeah, it's very much the diagnosing step, isn't it? Okay, so I have some DLT features for you this week, and I am coining them DLT sneaky tables. That is not quite what they are called. They are DLT private tables or having temporary views within DLT that are not shared wider. So the idea with a create private table is that you are either creating either a streaming table or a materialized view. And this is something that means that you can make that table, but it's then not published to the catalog. So if you have a bunch of intermediary steps that you want to materialize, that you want to persist, that you don't want to chain loads and loads and loads of things together as part of views, you can use a private table, which is now quite nice and gives you a lot more in terms of stylistic choice and how you want to create your pipelines. In terms of the create temporary view, again, this is a view that is only defined within your DLT pipeline as well. So it's not global. No one else can access it. It's only accessible from within the from DLT as well. So instead of having to publish literally all the inner guts to your catalog, you can instead be a lot more careful or specific in terms of what gets stored to a catalog, what could be queried by other people as well.
Okay. That sounds cool. I didn't quite understand. Were there two things or is just one thing? These private streaming tables, private materialized views. Um, but so that part I understood, but you compared it to a temporary view.
No,
But
sorry, you can also have temporary views.
and you can also have temporary views.
Yes,
Okay,
that's part two
got
of
it.
the sneaky tables. Yes.
Okay, so there's like three things. So I do have a question. Then it notably not published to the catalog. So then published and referenced where and how.
So within that DLT pipeline, you can refer to those tables, but once you're outside of the pipeline, you can't. So if let's say you're doing some stuff with some like PII anonymizing data, or maybe you've got a bunch of workspace IDs and you don't want to show how you make the sausage basically, and kind of like have all of
Yeah,
that in a
yeah.
catalog, and all those intermediary steps, because that's only useful to you as a developer for performance reasons to make sure that you persist that after you've done something maybe quite complex and you want to have that as that kind of materialized because it's a big step, rather than that as a final useful data set for someone else to use.
Now, how would I use it though? I'm looking at our architecture and
Yeah, we don't have a lot of data sources this week, do we?
no, no, we don't. But I mean, I can kind of do, let's say I want to read this as part of a data source, or this is going to be a source of data. The answer to this AI query is also going to be a source of data to my DLT pipeline. My drawing skills are not improving month over month here. Okay. And then we'll call this the DLT pipeline. And in here, I will have a private join. I'm guessing this is something like this. So I'm going to make this some kind of intermediate join the two sources. Do something. What? I don't know. We have maybe I'll run another AI query that asks, is the first suggestion reasonable?
Yeah, okay, then
After
reasonable
the first
exception. I like it.
suggestion. So there's a join the two sources as a private private table.
Huh?
And but you said it's a private streaming table or a materialized view.
Yes. So if you wanted to constantly append something from the node timeline, that would be a good candidate for a streaming table. But if you wanted something that was kind of like a normal table, but it's incrementally updated, that's where a materialized view would be good. So that's kind of like a classic table that you'd overwrite bits and pieces for. That's like a non-streaming table.
As part of this, we also ask this, is it reasonable? And we publish our final, this is the table that actually works.
Right, okay.
And published MV. I think this is tolerable. It doesn't make any sense, but it's okay.
It's some kind of like data validation, really, isn't it? Just to be like, hey, my first Maverick thinks that it's this, and then my second attempt says yes or no.
Is it
Okay, then.
reasonable?
Part two. Great. Okay, we're off to a strong start. Do you want to tell me about a new AI feature then?
Last month we talked about AI Builder, um, which in short, again, is kind of like a prompt-based approach to developing an agent. So you describe your task, you give it sample data if you have it. Even if you don't have it, it takes an attempt at creating a model. And then with those two pieces of information, it gives you a little agent, and then you can query that agent as you would all other agents in the Databricks platform. So you could use it with like AI query and all this kind of stuff. So um, the feature was released last month and in beta, as you say, and sorry.
It's an assault on my accent, Nick.
Well, I like it. So it was released in beta, and um, no, now I totally tripped myself up trying to make a joke. Fail.
Maybe you're just not naturally funny, Nick.
Uh,
I hate to break it to
no, no,
you.
I'm definitely not. That's okay. So it was released. The first one was information extraction, and so information extraction, read some document and pull it out, all the structured data that might be in there, or rather output it as structured data. And then this past month, a new type of tile or model or agent has been released, and it's called model specialization, and this allows you to um, do a little bit more arbitrary text-based tasks. So classification, analysis of customer reviews, things like this. So you just literally, here's a bunch of data that is, let's say, a bunch of customer reviews. Here's the what I generally want you to do. Like how do I expect this agent to analyze these reviews? You give it these two pieces of data and it spits out a little agent that will perform that task. So it's for domain specific tasks where you can actually give it some information about how you want it to do the task, and kind of arbitrary, like classifications, summaries, things like this.
I think I have an idea of how we can incorporate this. Could we take our AWS bills that are sent to us, and then have those, and then do the information extraction for those, and then compare them to our data and amp up the reasonableness and be like, hey, with the context of the bills that you've got from,
Yeah, I do
is
like
this
it.
really silly? Or is this,
So, so this month we are the Is This Reasonable company, where all we do is we ask our various sources of our data, quote, reasonable.
I believe it's called anomaly detection. I think that's what the serious people call it, but we're not serious people. So we've got our AWS bills here. Right, let's move you over here. And so I'm going to make a lovely agent, which is going to extract all of this. So what is it called? Oh,
AI Builder, AI
sorry,
Builder, and
AI.
it's let me double check. Model specialization.
So AI builder. Is it still an agent?
Yes,
Yes.
the output of AI Builder is an agent.
So model specialization. I want us to extract the bill per node. So I wanted to do some text extraction. Maybe I want it to do like the final bill as well, the final amount as well, so the final number. Maybe any kind of like aggressive text where we've not been paying our bill for the last 90 days, about whether like this is a good way to spend our money or not. So how about that? And so at the end of it, we
Yeah.
then get an agent. I like how you're agreeing with me as if this is something totally that normal people would do. And then from that, we get our AI agent. And then that can also compare the data that's come from that. Is that kind of correct?
No, I love that final step where you take the box and you're like, just make it around everything.
Like, is this, have I
Yeah.
lost it?
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, this is fine. It's like the the house on fire meme. Yeah, this is good. This is good.
This is great. I
Everything's
love it. Who was not to like? Was not to like? Okay. Okay, so I have another data engineering one for you. That is, Genie has had some massive improvements. So in terms of the experience of using Genie, so if you've not used Genie before, Genie is like a chatbot for your data, so you can ask it questions about your data and what you've got. But now, when you ask questions, it can offer you example questions that you might want to ask. It will offer follow-up questions for you as well. It'll also give you improved data access transparency as well. So you can't select tables to put in your Genie space that you don't have access to anymore. So that's quite nice. We've also got customer managed key support now. There's also a revamped feedback flow as well. So if something isn't quite right, you can get some options as to why it's not right. And then when it tries to redo that query, it will then take that into account. So for example, you might say the values look off, it's missing a column that you're expected, if it made up a definition, if it reruns it, it'll take those things into account and give you a better result. So yeah, a lot of Genie improvements.
So I've already been kind of doing that. So you're saying that it's improved at doing that.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the follow-up questions, that one's new.
Mhm.
There have been example questions at the beginning where you set those up at the beginning, but now it will offer them up for you rather than you having to define them up front. Um, and you've always been able to thumbs up, thumbs down whether you like the result, but now you've got that feedback loop where you can specify from a predefined list for faster feedback, but also it will take that feedback into account when you ask it to do it again.
So yeah, I'm just gonna point the Genie space at this.
Okay.
Genie, new and improved. So you can ask another agent, Genie, how reasonable it is.
Okay, so we could now ask a Genie space about what our our bill data, whether that's been extracted sensibly. We've got our compute tables that we're assessing in isolation to say, is this reasonable? We're then doing a double check of that assessment with DLT. And now we're triple checking it with the bill data. So I feel like this is more valuable with this. And now we've got a Genie space on top of that. So we can now ask more questions in plain English. This sounds like an excellent audit capability, to be honest, because, if you just like select star from compute tables, how can you justify that as like, well, it was a really thorough audit. I did select star from a table, but now you've checked in triplicate. If you're a consultant, you could charge loads for this.
We have three agents in the loop. That'll be four times as expensive. Thank you. Yeah, invoices in
Never
the mail.
mind that system tables is pretty much free and sys select star is again near to free. We are instead going to have all of these agents, which are definitely not free. All right then. Did you want to talk me through another? Oh my God, another AI feature.
Yeah, this one, we're just all over the map with these agents. So the last one you're gonna laugh at, but it's more of the same. But this one, I'm excited about this one because like using the assistant, and the assistant is now also new and improved. Two notable things. The first is it now follows up with actual references and follow-up links. So when you ask a question in the assistant pane, you also get like not just an answer, but how this answer was actually arrived at. That's the word I'm looking for. How the answer was arrived at, what documentation was used, and what documentation you might want to read as a follow-up. So I think that's fairly like industry standard now, but now it's included in AI Assistant as well. And the second piece is that AI Assistant can now execute code itself, and it does that using serverless. So the serverless context is provided to the AI assistant. And so if it generates any code that needs to be run, it can also execute it. So that's pretty awesome.
Excellent. So I also love our Databricks assistant. I've been doing a load of work recently, and it is it allowed me to work so much faster. There's so many features that I didn't realize existed actually. So you've got fix, which is the obvious one. If you've got an error and you need to fix it, you can do things like explain. You can do the inline stuff as well, which I didn't know. So
Mhm.
if it's like you've got a particular column and you're like, no, I need to cast it as a string, and you can't quite remember the Python way of doing that, you can just like inline with the assistant and it will do it for you. I do like explain. No offense, Nick. I've been reading some of your code and I'm like, I don't know what this does. So I just go explain slash explain. It tells me what you've written.
Oh, that's on purpose. Obfuscation is the goal.
I'm sorry, that's not a good career strategy anymore. Like people are gonna know what you've done. I don't really know how I can put AI into our architecture diagram, to be honest. To say that it's helping me code. Um,
Put it on the side. Say the AI assistant is what suggested that you do a private MV that then eventually was published.
okay, I don't think it's that stupid.
Because I don't think we need to take no. We can't possibly take responsibility for what we've drawn. We need to blame the assistant.
Right, okay, okay then. That is peak level. Right, okay.
The AI did it.
Right. So this DLT pipeline, I'm gonna say that it was AI. AI helped. AI made this pipeline. AI made me do it. Right. AI. Is it called AI Assistant? Is it called Databricks Assistant? I think it's called Databricks Assistant, isn't it? AI wrote this pipeline.
Databricks AI assistant. Hmm.
Oh, we're both
Yeah.
right. Okay. Uh,
No, I'm just making things up.
okay. I really hope people aren't coming here for factual information. Oh, wait, no, they probably are. Sorry, it's probably where they get their updates. Excellent. Okay. If you've not had the chance to give it a go, I really, really do recommend it, even if you consider yourself to be quite a good Databricks developer. The amount of times that it just does things for me which I can't be bothered to do, like if I can't be bothered to reformat something, I'm just like, hey, change this around so it's in a different structure. It just does it for me. It's wonderful.
It is. Sometimes I just select all and say, make this better, and it actually does. I I'm not embarrassed. This is what the tool is for. So you are an expert programmer. I will give you $200 if you make this even better and more concise.
You don't even have to, and I just find it being so helpful. I still say please and thank you to it. I feel like I don't have to admonish it that
I
often.
I actually I don't know if this is like fake news or whatever, but I saw something about OpenAI saying that people saying please and thank you, the token count of that is costing them millions of dollars.
I wonder if it is nicer to you though. I wonder if it goes out of its way to like think a little bit more.
Yeah, no, probably not.
Probably not. Okay, well, I tried. Okay, back in reality land of where things are reliable and same thing in, same thing out each time. Let's talk about our last feature of this month, and that is dashboards. So we have to start with some bad news. We're going to pull one out for legacy dashboards because they are now deprecated. So they are not getting any changes. They are now deprecated. But the good news is there are two ways that you can upgrade your dashboard. You can right click on the little kebab menu on the top hand side, and you can just create as a AI BI dashboard, and that will do it for you. There's also the API version as well. So if you're like, oh, Holly, I have 100 dashboards, I don't want to go through 100 to upgrade them, you can do this with the API as well. So if you need to do it at scale, that's an option for you. There is a bit of faff when it comes to the parameters, so that will need a bit of manual intervention, but as of now, they are deprecated. Um, but that's the sad news. The good news is we now have source control for AI BI dashboards as well. So if you want to be able to check these into GitHub, you can do this. If you need to have them going across kind of dev, test, and prod because you want it to move with your data and kind of test it as it goes, this is fantastic. And the big one that people are really excited about is custom calculations. So before custom calculations, if you had a table of sales, but you wanted to have kind of an aggregate table, which is kind of like, I don't know, aggregate over geography and then over maybe day of the week, because Saturday you always do good business, you would have to create that table as a second table that aggregates the data. Whereas with custom aggregations, you don't have to do that anymore. So, does that make sense?
No. But
No.
continue.
So when you've got a dashboard, the first thing you do is you switch to the data tab and you do select star from my table that I've got.
Mhm.
And if you like the shape of that table, that's nice. But if you want to start aggregating it across it in different ways, you need to then create a second table or a second tab, which has that aggregation logic in it, which is one kind of a pain. It also means you have to hard code a lot of things that maybe you didn't want to hard code, and you can't reuse those aggregations anywhere else either. With custom calculations, it allows you to define how you want these things to be aggregated. So if you wanted to have it in a table, or if you wanted to have it in a bar chart or a pivot table, you absolutely can do. So you don't have to have those duplicate things being queried now. You also get better performance for it as well. So there's some secret sauce underneath that's also going to help those be displayed a lot faster.
Okay, got it. So I don't need to publish some kind of intermediate table just for the dashboard, just to support the dashboard. The dashboard can
Correct.
do everything for me magically. Well, I think our dashboard has this, has
And
this.
this, and one of these, and one of this. Nick, I'm starting to think we
Takes
don't take this very seriously at all.
takes metrics from this.
Should we talk maybe a little bit seriously about maybe how we could use our new custom aggregations? So, for example, in the node timeline, you might want to aggregate over a certain time of day. So, for example, during business hours, instead of having to make that kind of custom table, which has kind of got the flag of like case when it's within these hours, then it's business, else it's not business, and then you can split all of the things in your dashboard by that. Now with custom calculations, um,
Some
yes, thank you.
calculations.
The custom calculations. Um, you can define those up front.
Easy peasy.
All right, so that is me for data engineering features this month.
All right, Holly, it's time for rapid fire. You
It
have the
is.
list in front of you. This time we're not doing just the features, or we're not doing
Mm-hmm.
features at all. I'm gonna have you list off as many columns and tables from the compute system tables as you possibly can in how many seconds do you want?
I don't think I could do it in 30, but if I say that, you're just going to give me 30 seconds, right?
Okay, 30 seconds. Well, I mean, do you want to go for longer? This is I'm giving you a way out here. You could say 10
All right,
seconds,
40,
and then
40,
it's
40,
then it's over
40.
real fast. All right, 40 seconds?
Yeah,
Okay,
I reckon I
40
could go for it.
seconds. All right. In that case, I have my stopwatch
Uh,
and
count me in.
all right, take your marks, cassette. Go.
In cluster tables, we've got the account ID, the workspace ID, the cluster ID, the cluster name, who's owned it, who owns it, who's owned it. Oh, for goodness sake. The create time, the deleted time, the driver node time, the worker node type, the work account, the minimum for autoscalers, the maximum for autoscale workers, auto termination in minutes, whether you've got enable elastic disk, you've got tags, cluster source, init scripts, AWS, Azure, or GCP attributes, the driver instance pool ID or the worker instance pool ID, the DBR version, the change time, the change date. We've also got the node table, which has got the account ID, the node type, the core count, the memory megabytes, and then GPU count. And then in the timeline table, you get the account ID, the workspace ID, the cluster ID, the
Five
instance ID,
seconds.
the start time, the end time, the driver, the CPU
Time.
user percent, CPU system percent, CPU weight percent, memory use percent,
Time.
memory
Time.
swap.
Time. Time.
No, but these are the interesting ones. The network sent, disks free, byte per mount point, and the node type as well. Blatant disregard of the time
I feel
here.
like listening to you do that was me doing it. You know, that's how stressed that was.
Okay, I'm glad.
I was holding my breath while you were doing that.
Okay, I'm sorry that you've had such a stressful day today. All right, thank you for joining us this month. What do you think of our architecture? Do you think we did a good? Oh, we didn't rate it, did we? Should we rate
Let's
it?
rate it.
Yeah.
If last week was what, or last week, whatever month was 3 or 2,
Huh?
that can't be much better, honestly.
I
Um,
mean, it did kind of fall apart at the end, but it is. I mean, it would work. I think last month, it wouldn't work. This would work, but is it excessive and a big waste of money to just super duper validate how much you're spending and whether it's a sensible thing to do? No, please don't ever build this.
if you build this, you'll never catch up to how much you're spending. That's because it'll be the most expensive thing that you do.
You could save maybe $100 on cluster spend, but you would have spent 1,000 on AI.
Exactly. So at a certain scale, this does make sense, but probably not at yours. All right. So I'm giving it
You're
four. What are you
you're
giving
gonna
it?
go with the four. Okay. Um, I mean, the excessive reasonableness is, I think, is all over the place. But I do like this idea of taking your AWS bill and then comparing it to your system tables to be like, hey, does this make sense? What's going on here? Is there anything that I could like look at that's a bit weird? So I don't hate it as a concept. I just hate the way that we've built it. So I'm gonna give it a five.
We got to start dividing this into like, idea, creativity, execution, like
Uh,
uh
No,
like
I don't
figure
want to
skating.
score my ideas each month. That sounds terrible.
Difficulty,
No.
execution, creativity.
It just sounds like my performance review, really.
All right, count us out. Let's get out of here.
All right, thank you for joining us this month. Do you agree with us that this is a 4 or a 5 out of 10? Let us know down below. Check out the notes below. I will put all of the release notes in there as well, or any links to any particular features that we've spoken about. Until then, I'm Holly.
I'm Nick.
Every month. See you next month, when we'll do exactly the same outro.
Bye. Love you. Bye.
Excellent.
I have a feeling you're going to cut that into a short. I shouldn't have done that.